Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number, and your go-to place to get salt at the lowest prices you'll find anywhere in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, tri-state area. And I know people do drive quite a long distance just to go to Omni. Plenty of Peloton, Mag Ice Pellets and Flakes, and anything else you need to get you through this coming winter. The website, folks, is omnitruevalue.com. And Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs. The countdown to Christmas is on, and you can see some of the things that you could have on your front lawn, including Santa, and of course, I don't know what you would call that, with the three snowmen standing on each other's shoulders, and of course, no Christmas decoration. Right? No Christmas decorating is complete until you have the Jolly Elf. And there he is. And they're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York, also on Long Island. So if this is your business, you decorate homes, or maybe you want your home decorated, give them a call. They're at 631-957-5106. And the website there is liholidaylighting.com. And here we are on what turned out to be a pretty wet day. Everything seemed to play according to the script that we laid out last night, which is always a good thing. I always get nervous ahead of storms. I just want to make sure everything comes out. You know, what comes out of these lips and out of this mouth translates to reality. And for the most part, it did so far.
Well, I mean, here since midnight, here at my home base, we've had, well, right now, just extrapolating from the 3.9 inches that we had at 6, I'm assuming now at 7:34 that we have probably in excess of 4 inches for just this day alone. But it did start raining yesterday, Joe. And in fact, the total storm total for my area, and this goes back to late Sunday night, probably is in excess of something like 4.6 inches of rain. So yes, we've had more than our fair share, still coming down where I am, and probably will not cease until sometime around or shortly after daybreak tomorrow. And then in the midst of all of this, we'll have to deal with the winds revving up later tonight on into at least the midday hours tomorrow, with some occasional gusts up to 40 mph.
Yeah, I'm not too worked up about the wind in the inland areas. I mean, 20 to 30, gusts to 40, you get that. I mean, you do get that in a typical winter day most of the time. And I think if you're looking at gusts, and I know there were some gusts overnight and early this morning over parts of the observations that I saw were all basically near or over exposed locations on Long Island, where there were a few gusts to the 40s and even gusts up into the 50s. But we're not going to see crazy wind gusts out of this. The tightest gradient is still going to be in southeastern New England, where they'll probably wind up with solid gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour. But I'm not really too concerned about the wind. The only thing I would say is that because of the heavy rain, I mean, we basically had a month's worth of rain in the last 36 hours. So, well, all right. So the last 24 hours. Okay. We've had about a month's worth of rain, whatever it is. And, the ground is wet. It's saturated. If you got to let any of the weaker trees that are out there, you get a puff of wind that goes to 35 or 40 miles an hour. That certainly could be enough to take it down. The rainfall amounts. Now, I have rainfall amounts that the Weather Service put up from Upton. I didn't see anything out of Mount Holly yet. There seem to be a little behind on that, I suppose. But most of the rainfall amounts seem to be in the 2 to now there were some above 4, but 2 to 4 seems to be where the range is at the moment. And plus now we've got 2 heavier rain bands. The numbers I'm looking at, by the way, are as of 11 a.m. So, and I know not much fell after that. In a lot of areas stopped for a while, but now we're going to get these 2 big bands that are coming through tonight. Central Park had 2.73 in New York City. Looking at up by you, Mayapack had 3.36. Okay, but Brewster only Brewster had 1.74. So that's the convective nature of some of the thunderstorms that ran through. So you do have a little bit of variability in some of these amounts that I'm looking at. Suffolk County on Long Island, Ridge 3.26, Mattatuck 3.06, Islip 260 as of 11:09. No, I'm sorry, that's West Islip. The airport had 3 when I looked at the OBS this morning. Just trying to see what else we got here in terms of numbers. Yeah, and some of the timestamps here from 6:30 and 7 o'clock. So I'll just wait for some of the final numbers to come in. But it's going to finish up with it. It's all said and done. Most areas 2 to 4. Some places may push that amount up to between 4 and 5, and then it's over with.
Really, I don't like to criticize, and I know the people who work at the National Weather Service office. I mean, we have we have a mutual friend there right now, but really, come on. The last time you updated these rainfall totals was 11:32. That's 8 hours ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, is it that they don't have enough staffing to, sit somebody down and say, okay, ferret through all of this stuff and revise all these numbers up? It's what can I say, Joe? I mean,
not much rain. Really... There were a lot of the OBS there were as of 11 a.m. and not a whole. After that, it shut off. So they'll. I'm sure they're watching us. We love you, NWS Upton. We love you, NWS Mount Holly. But yeah, go ahead. Update your rainfall total so we could have have some of the later numbers. It would be really nice if you all did that.
Yeah, it did. And especially, if they could never get away with something like this during a major snowfall, Joe. I mean, like, as well as I, if we had like 15 inches of snow on the ground right now, let's say, where I am or Central Park, I'm just taking things out of context a bit, but, and then you go to the Weather Service site and you see that the last time they had observations posted was as of 11 o'clock this morning. I mean, that doesn't look good. Yeah.
Barry Goldberg on the chat board, and he measured at Caldwell in New Jersey, in northern New Jersey, 4.6 inches of rain. So, again, this pretty much is playing out as advertised. I don't want to get, as you don't like to criticize, I'm never one to complain. But, as usual, in the cesspool of social media, everything was taken to its natural Armageddon conclusion. And, of course, the disappointed, those that are upset over the fact that they didn't get the tragedy they were looking for. But there was never really a tragedy to look for in this, because it was fairly straightforward, or it has been fairly straightforward.
Well, the thing is, Joe, as you just mentioned at the top of the show, we've had a month's worth of rainfall in a matter of about 24 to 30 hours. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The thing is those people who were making the comparisons to Ida, and we brought this up yesterday.
Yes,
we had the same amount of rainfall in a matter of 6 to 8 hours,
which makes a huge difference.
Crunch that time frame down. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives time for the water to drain. So yeah, if you're gonna stretch it out through 8, 10, 12 hours and get 2 or 3 inches of rain, you can manage that for the most part, except for the usual suspect spots. It's when you get 2 or 3 inches of rain in an hour that you wind up in a problem. Joe Arabia on the board, 53-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Patchogue this morning at 8 o'clock. And yeah, there was some solid convection that came up there, and I didn't notice any severe thunderstorm warnings this morning. I did see a bunch of flash flood warnings up in New Jersey, particularly in northern New Jersey, where there were a lot of spots with 4 inches plus. But all right, now we got there's 2 bands left as I see it, and I'll bring up the radar and we can take a look at what's going on. So our low, Mr. Rayo, is doing that counterclockwise loop. And by the way, if you think about this, think back to Hurricane Henri. Uh, and I've said many times in weather, things don't repeat exactly, but they do rhyme. So think about it. The big rains from last night into this morning being caused by that strong upper low interacting with the developing coastal low. And if you remember with Henri, the night before, we had the upper trough coming in and generating big rains that were sort of separate from what was going on with respect to the hurricane. And then the hurricane made that left turn near Block Island and wound up going across Connecticut along Route 84, and the low center wound up in the Catskills. Now, this low center is not going to wind up in the Catskills, but if you think about it, the paths are similar, just this is a little bit further to the east, and this is a non-tropical system. So, your low goes way out here, and now it's doing that counterclockwise loop back westward as it reacts to the upper low that is down in moving down into Chesapeake Bay and Delaware Bay. So here's here's one band. Now everything is moving. Normally we see stuff moving from west to east. Now they're moving from east to west. So this band is moving in. That's over Long Island, where they're getting bands of heavy rain. That's now reached New York City and on up the Hudson Valley, where you are. And then this band out here, Joe, that's approaching Cape Cod. That's going to probably swing through sometime during the overnight. So I'm thinking during the early morning hours, maybe between 2 and 4 a.m. Folks on Long Island, for example, maybe even up by you in Connecticut, probably going to get a band of heavy rains that'll come in from off the ocean to add to the rain totals. And then once the low drops southward tomorrow morning, that should put an end to it, and hopefully most of, if not all of it, will be gone by daybreak.
Yeah, I think that'll be. Now, we were discussing also yesterday, questioning how much sunshine we're going to see. And the thing, Joe, is that if we had east northeasterly winds tomorrow, I think that it would be fairly well overcast through much, if not all, of the day, because there's a lot of low-level moisture that's going to be left behind here. However, the winds, number one, are going to be rather robust, gusty at times, and also more of a north-northwest component. The upper and middle layers of the atmosphere are going to dry out rather nicely. So I think what's going to happen tomorrow is we'll start off on a gray, gloomy note in the morning, last of the showers moving on out, and then gradually, as we move through the course of the morning and into the afternoon, some pokes, some peaks of sun here and there, and more of a clearing trend getting in here as we move on toward the very end of the day tomorrow. Gradual clearing continues tomorrow night. And I think we'll looking at a pretty decent looking sky for Thursday.
Yeah, I've come around to that notion as well. Tomorrow might be a struggle, brightening in the afternoon, maybe a break or two of sun possible. Yeah, I think enough of the high to the north, even though the onshore flow is going to come back as that high builds down. Initially, I think there'll probably be enough dry air. Plus, the next system is a day slower than what it looked like earlier this week, over the weekend. So that at least gives us some time. At least seems like there's more ridging going on in between. So that'll at least give us some time with respect to getting some improvement, as you said, for Thursday. Meanwhile, the next system, by the way, producing showers and some thunderstorms up in parts of Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, western Nebraska, and then extending further north up into Montana. And we're also starting to see some showers break out in East Texas. There will be some showers and thunderstorms overnight into tomorrow, into the morning hours, that'll develop and move through the Central Plains, which is where the Storm Prediction Center has risk going on, and we'll look at that in a second. Still raining in parts of the Pacific Northwest with some of the energy that's still hanging around there, but the bulk of the energy is actually getting kicked eastward, coming off of that massive storm that moved onshore. And the Storm Prediction Center, again, there's nothing going on now, but later on tonight, in parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, down into north central Texas, you've got an enhanced risk of severe weather and a 5% tornado risk, and the marginal risk goes all the way up into northern Nebraska. On the next day, which takes us to Wednesday into Thursday, slight risk from southeast Texas to the Florida Panhandle, so right along the Gulf Coast there, with marginal risk extending a little bit further inland up to parts of Arkansas and southeastern Oklahoma, but nothing going on. I mean, obviously the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic states, and most of the Southeast will be thunderstorm free. And on the next day, which is going to be Thursday into Friday, the Storm Prediction Center has slight risk in coastal North and South Carolina, northern half of Florida, the marginal risk back up to the Panhandle, southern Georgia, marginal risk, and a narrow band of marginal risk that runs on the west side of the slight risk there in central South Carolina, and then swinging east into northeastern North Carolina. But the Northeast and the northern Mid-Atlantic states on Thursday obviously will be fine. And that risk area probably comes late, maybe during the overnight, Thursday night into Friday morning as that next system lifts on up. I'm thinking, Joe, that one will probably be about a 6-hour round of rain and downpours and maybe an odd thunderstorm in there that produces, I would say, maybe 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches of rain, and then it moves along.
Yeah. You know, and what's annoying to me, Joe, is that watching a few of the evening newscasts tonight, headlining the nor'easter, and while we're in the midst of what's happening to us right now, they have to say, and guess what? Another one may be on the way for the end of the week into the weekend. Immediately planning in the minds of,
right, but it's totally different.
Yeah, I know. What are you going to do?
It's totally different.
When it bleeds, it leads, Joe. The more that you pile on, you know, and of course that makes people, you know, say, "Oh my God, Martha, come over here."
Martha,
you know, she just said we're going to have another one at the end of the week. I can't believe this.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Doug Wetzel hitting Super Chat tonight. Thank you, Doug, very much. Most appreciated. And Izzy D also hitting Super Chat tonight. Thank you very much, Izzy. Also most appreciated. There's WPC's rainfall forecast. They've got, now some of this includes what falls overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. So, you know, they're showing 1.5 to 2 inches. But again, we've got the stuff tonight to subtract out of this with regards to Friday. And you see that still producing several additional inches in eastern Massachusetts out to the Cape, and then in coastal New Hampshire, because New Hampshire has a very small, but it does have a coastline, and also coastal Maine. Not all the way up the coast, but most of the way up the coast, several inches of rain being indicated there. And then you can see the rains from thunderstorms in the central and southern plains and over into the middle Mississippi Valley and along the Gulf Coast. Nothing extraordinary here. 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches. And still some more big rain amounts up in the Pacific Northwest, where under some circumstances, depending on the upper air pattern, it could rain there for weeks at a time. So that is at least playing according to plan.
I love how they're able to, you know, this shows you the technology, I guess, that they have over at the Weather Prediction Center. How that they're able to actually say that over the next 7 days, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and part of northern Wisconsin will be totally dry, although they're surrounded on all sides by wetness.
Well, remember that one
amazing?
time. I know. Remember that one time last year in Ohio. There's like that hill, the hill there that nobody had snow, but they put it up on that hill, or everybody else had a little bit, and they had a
Right.
little dot there. They're
Right.
actually pretty good at how they figure that stuff out. All right, so I got the
Yeah.
HRRR up, and it basically, I'm using the HRRR because not that it's any different from the others. They're all about the same, but the radar look on the HRRR map, however they use, whatever they use on tropical tidbits to make it look the way they do, it really does kind of look like the radar, and you can see it matches up pretty well. This is this is right now, and as we saw on the radar, it's fairly similar, and you see where the low is, southeast of Nantucket, and making that loop turning westward. And here's where that tight gradient gets into southeastern Massachusetts and the Nantucket, Hyannis, and into Rhode Island. Again, the gradient, if you look closely with the isobars here right now, uh, the gradient's actually fairly relaxed. It's going to get tighter overnight into tomorrow, and here's where it gets tight enough where, as you said, Joe, you'll see some gusts up in the 30 plus mile an hour range, maybe up the odd gust of 40 or so. The second band of rain comes in. This is 2Z, 3Z is 11 p.m. and it kind of merges with the band that's ahead of it. So we'll swing that through back southwestward. The western edge gets to the New Jersey-Pennsylvania state line, and then as we go on into tomorrow morning, this is 7 a.m. tomorrow, and the rain's gone. I mean, 5 a.m. it's still there. 8, 9 a.m. I'm sorry, this is 5 a.m. I'm sorry, I was reading Greenwich time. So 3, 4, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Yeah, and yeah, the isobars turn more northerly, so that should help. That should certainly help the cause as far as getting some improving weather conditions.
Anything that leans more toward a west as opposed to an east direction will certainly help to dry things out. And boy, we have a lot of drying to do, Joe.
That we do. I agree with you on that. Definitely a lot of drying to do. Another above normal rainfall month. Yes, I know. Steve LaPointe, the HRRR model is the horrible model. Yes, it can be quite horrible. It certainly was horrible with this also back yesterday and before yesterday when looking at the 48-hour runs of the HRRR, which come out 4 times a day, trying to take the surface low back to Sandy Hook with a crazy tight pressure gradient, and it was the only model that was really doing that. Even the European, Joe, I noticed the European going into this was too far left. The GFS did a pretty good job in showing how far offshore this was going to go before it was going to make the loop back. So we have to give kudos to that particular model. But I just want to show everybody with this upper air why the next one is different. And the reason is, well, there are a couple of reasons, but the main reason is there's your blocking high. And we're looking at yesterday at 2 p.m. Here is your trough that started the ball rolling. The upper trough had its impact over us because now here we are at 2 a.m. this morning. Your blocking high is pretty much in the same spot. Your trough is running from eastern Michigan to Virginia. So, and that we talked about yesterday, that negatively tilted, that northwest southeast tilt of the trough. Those are, when you see that, that produces quite a bit of lift and really good inflow coming in from the east and southeast. A lot of tropical moisture that got involved, and of course you saw those thunderstorms develop with all the daytime heating ahead of it yesterday. And kaboom, we had that big rain overnight and this morning. But this system here, because of that blocking high to the north, which kind of shifts a little bit east during the day today, forces this upper trough, the upper low can't go up into Canada into that high, so it's got to go underneath it. So the upper low takes a track into Maryland and Delaware, which is where it's supposed to be this evening, and then gets kicked out to the east. Now, take a look at the next one. The next one would do the same thing if the upper high in eastern Canada were to stay there. And in fact, by Thursday afternoon, it's not moving. The upper low is being forced to go underneath it. You see it there in western Tennessee. But what happens? The high finally does start to move, and it weakens rapidly Thursday into Friday, and that allows this thing to lift up to our west, the upper feature to lift up to our west and not go out underneath us. So we're not going to see a wrapped up coastal low off the East Coast because of this important difference.
Right, right, but again, unfortunately, sadly, the naysayers or the doomsayers or the people who write the news headlines, have already implied that there'll be another nor'easter coming. I even saw something on AOL saying, this is going to be only the first of a few nor'easters. But again, as you just pointed out, Joe, this really is not going to be a nor'easter, the system on Friday into Saturday in the classical sense. And it's not going to provide us with anywhere near the amount of rainfall, nor are we going to see anything in terms of the very strong and gusty conditions that we're experiencing right now along the coast and especially up into New England tonight and tomorrow.
Right. We're going to have southeast winds, and it may get a little windy for a little while, but I don't think it's going to get crazy windy. But here's a closer look of what I just described, and I'm rolling it back now. This is Sunday, Monday, so this is Monday at 2 p.m., and you can't see the blocking high up to the north because the map doesn't go much further north than James Bay, but trust me, you saw it on the other map, it's there, and you can see how the upper low gets shoved southeastward and goes out underneath us, and there it is closed off southeast of Cape Cod early Wednesday morning, and then it goes on its merry way to the east. Now here comes the next one, and you can see the blocking high on this map Thursday afternoon. You can see the western part of it is right there. And again, if that were to hold, if that was going to hold there, this whole upper low would probably go straight east. And it's very vigorous, make no mistake. That's a very vigorous upper low that's moving across the Tennessee Valley here, very wrapped up. But the block ain't going to be there. It's going to open up, and then the thing just lifts up north, almost northward, up into upstate New York, and then heads on up into Canada. And then we get into a more normal flow here with a rather, well, that's not a half bad looking trough next Thursday coming down. A 516 cutoff low, Joe, up in north of Lake Huron, and a short wave. I would assume that when that goes by, we should get a fairly decent shot of chilly air about in the middle part of next week, if this plays according to plan.
I don't want to jump ahead, and I know that eventually we're going to talk about it. But when we do talk about it, looking at the polar vortex, I know you said yesterday you've been watching this on a day-by-day basis, but it seems to me that that time frame, November 4, which would be a week from this Thursday, that's going to be the time when that system, that vortex is going to finally push on down and swing or pivot across Canada, opening the door for colder air and also aiming some of that colder air in our direction. Not much is happening right now, but that'll be the pivot point, if you will, I think mid and late next week for a change to more chillier or colder conditions that we may be experiencing.
Agreed. So here's our surface map. This is at 2 a.m. You can see those showers and storms blossoming in central Kansas down into Oklahoma and north central Texas. And of course, our low sitting just south of Nantucket here at this point. And those bands of rain to be described overnight. And then, of course, that pulls away. That high tries to build down the coast. Keep your fingers crossed that we could have some decent weather here on Thursday. But, this is Thursday afternoon, and you see the wrapped up. It's like a giant arm. This is going to look very impressive on the satellite on Thursday with that deep upper low. You got a 91 low in northeastern Arkansas, and you see the signature on the radar signature on the GFS. There's going to be a nice looking swirl there, and of course you got storms, what looks like some fairly powerful storms moving across Alabama, Georgia, and then into the southeastern, into South Carolina. and we showed you the risk areas that are involved. But that high to the north is going to hold this rain back until maybe Friday afternoon, and then then it's a 6 to 8 hour round of downpours and some heavy rain. Now, the question is for Saturday, Joe, with that upper low tracking to our west and taking all day to move up into upstate New York, there's probably going to be some lingering showers here on Saturday, I think.
Well, yeah, I think that of the 2 weekend days, and of course, let's not forget that Sunday is Halloween for all of the people out there who like to get dressed up. I think of the 2 days, the drier day and maybe even the brighter day will be Sunday because, yeah, there'll probably be some lingering moisture, lingering showers here for the start of the weekend on Saturday. And Sunday may be a bit cloudy. It may also be a bit coolish, or may I use the term ghoulish, since it will be Halloween on Sunday.
Yes, and by the way, even the GFS still has a couple of lingering showers around on Sunday. Those scattered in nature on both days. And then a quick look at next week. A little snow shows up near Lake Superior there, and there's some kind of front along about Wednesday. I'm seeing blue, Joe, in western Pennsylvania and patched in parts of upstate New York and northern Vermont. So that's with that upper trough, and there's a secondary front that comes through late Thursday. So I imagine that'll be, where the coolest of the air comes in. And then after that, who knows? Storm from the Rockies into the western lakes, some snow up in Minnesota and around the lakes. But it does, at least the maps are showing some blue now that we're moving into November. So for you snow lovers, at least we seem to be going in the right direction.
Yeah, Renata today was up in Hopewell Junction, which is even more to the north than where we are. That's in Dutchess County. And she was saying that, some of the leaves look a little yellow. I saw a couple of them that look red, but most of them are still on the tree and most of them still look green. So, what happened to the beautiful fall colors, Joe? We've yet to see. Now, I have a feeling that when we get that shot of cold air or colder air later next week, what's going to happen is that these leaves are just going to give up the ghost and just say, "Hey, let's listen. Let's all fall."
Yeah. By the way,
green.
I took a short drive today, not too far from here, from where I live, because I'm surrounded by some really beautiful mountains, and there was some nice color. Some nice. I was able to find some nice color. By the way, Barry Goldberg, thank you for the super chat hit tonight. Most appreciated. Thank you very much. So let's look at the progress quickly about the polar vortex here, because we've been watching this and everything seems to be on course as it pivots around. Looking at the stratosphere, that be a driver of things in the lower atmosphere if it couples. And we're seeing the polar vortex sitting on the north coast of Siberia, rotating and then dropping southward across the North Pole and moving its way into north central Canada, northern Greenland. So it certainly is in a better position for winter weather lovers, because what I'm showing you now on the screen where it's up in Siberia is not a good position for winter weather lovers. As you've noticed, it's been like this for most of the month, and the month of October has been quite warm. But this change in the polar vortex and the orientation of it. Now, the question for the long term is, does it stay like this, or is it going to wind up migrating back up into Siberia? So we don't know if this is something that's going to last more than a week or two, or is it going to or shorter, or is it going to last longer than that? And that's a big question. So all we can do is just watch and see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether or not that will be happening. That I would think that once the cold air arrives, although Climate Prediction Center (CPC) 6 to 10 day outlook puts us right on the cusp of colder than normal, and then Joe, they drop the colder than normal further to the south of the tri-state area and place us back in more of a normal temperature pattern on the 8 to 14 days. So I'm a little confused. I personally, I think it's going to get noticeably colder. I would think that by late next week, we're finally going to see, our first, I can't believe I'm saying this, our first frost advisory or our first freeze advisory. I mean, we've yet to see any of that.
Yeah.
Our nights for the most part have been in the 50s and occasionally in the 40s. We've yet to see any prolonged or protracted spell of temperatures in the 30s up here, and that's amazing when you consider that we're coming toward the home stretch of October.
Michael McGuire says first flakes are flying in Snowshoe, West Virginia tonight, and that's according to meteorologist Brad Panovich. I've heard of him. And I know Johnny Quest mentioned where he is, because of course he's up 3,000 feet. He's with the yodeler up there. He mentioned that I don't know if that someplace near him also saw some flakes of snow. So it's there. Those cold upper lows, if they get really wrapped up, like the one that's moving across the deep south like that for Wednesday and Thursday, that's the kind of thing that I want to see here when we get into a deeper, we get deeper into November and December. If I get that to happen, when we get into December, I might have some fun with that, with something with a setup like that.
Yeah, that would, well, again, our time will come, whether or not it'll come in the immediate future or whether or not we may have to wait until December or January. And we have had winters like that. Still a little bit questionable right now.
Yes. All right. So do you have Briller Jeopardy tonight? Because I don't.
I do believe I do.
Okay.
I do. So let me, excuse me.
I'm just gonna
pick this out here.
I'm just checking on my dog because he's fast asleep.
Oh, really? Well,
no, he does that every time when we do the show, Joe. He's out like a light. He comes in, he's very quiet. He doesn't bark. He just lays down. He goes to sleep. He's at the foot of the bed. He's relaxing. So anyway,
he listens to your voice.
I guess so.
Here we go, and we're going to continue Briller Jeopardy with our special guest host, Johnny Gilbert. No, I mean Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
Remember that Johnny Quest lives at an elevation of 3,200 feet for this Briller Jeopardy. Question number 1, Joe. What is the highest and lowest temperature in the month of February in Johnny Quest land? And you can come to within 8 degrees of that. The highest and lowest February temperatures in the land of Johnny Quest.
I'm sorry, Joe. Repeat the question. I was distracted there for a second. Repeat the question.
The highest and lowest temperature in the month of February in Johnny Quest land. And again, he points out Johnny Quest is at an elevation of 3,200 feet. So what would the highest temperature and lowest temperatures ever recorded? Well, not, I don't know, ever recorded, but recorded in February in Johnny Quest's neighborhood.
Okay, I'll say. Well, yesterday that January temperature was what, minus 27 or 28. So I'll say minus 23 for the low. And every once in a while you can get a crazy day in February. So I'll say 63 for a high.
Good Lord, this man knows how to play this game. 64 the highest, so you within 1 there. And the lowest was minus 21. You were within a couple of degrees of that. Amazing.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Or as Ed Norton said, amazing. The hair never had a chance. Question number 2. What was the highest and lowest temperature in March in the land of Johnny Quest?
I'll say for a high, I'll take it up a notch. So, because he doesn't get that warm in the summertime, though. I'll say 70 for a high, and for a low, I'll say Below zero numbers are usually rare in March, so but I'll say 4 above zero.
Well, I'll tell you what. With the highest temperature, if you were within 1 degree, if you had gotten it on the nose, the bell would have rung, and you could have reached into my pocket for the $500 bonus.
500, right? Exactly.
71 was the highest. The lowest, you went a little bit too low. The lowest is 12.
Oh, really?
March. Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
And now, and question number 3, what was the highest and lowest temperature in April in Johnny Quest land, in the month of April?
In April, I will say 8.
Now, I'm gonna give you a little hint here. On one of these two extremes, there's a curveball that's going to be thrown, or a knuckleball.
Okay. Okay. Oh, hold on. Johnny Quest on the chat board says it's supposed to be -12. Where you said what was for March 2 above?
All right.
I said
okay,
2, and you.
Well, it says here lowest 12. When it was in negative,
Right.
Scott actually wrote out -12. Or
okay.
But so it was a -12.
It's a -12. Either way, I missed it by a larger than the margin of error. Okay, now so we're talking about
April, yeah.
April.
But now that explains why I said a knuckleball or a curveball on one of the two extremes, because now there ain't no knuckleball or curveball. It makes a lot more sense then.
Okay, so I'll say for April, I'll say, I don't know, 10 for a low, and for a high, I'll say 75.
Joe, reach into my pocket and get the 500 if you get. Your arms are long enough from here to Georgia. 75 on the nose.
Whoa!
Here. Ringing the bell here. The lowest temperature, you said what, 10?
I think I said 10, yeah.
The lowest was 6.
6.
And see, that's why I said a curveball, and it didn't make any sense to me, because March, he has here written down lowest 12, and then for April, lowest 6.
10,
I said,
right.
How is that possible? Yeah. How could that be possible? But,
exactly. All right, so now it makes
there
sense.
You go.
Okay.
And Scott, she answered you last night. Renata answered you on the chat board last night. Maybe you didn't see it. Yes, she will be. She said, Joe, please ask your lovely wife, Renata, for me if she's available for a special Halloween edition of Cooking Griller Jeopardy on Sunday. She said last night, most definitely yes. So we will have that on Sunday.
Okay. And the chairman also sent me, I was looking for Mount Holly's rainfall amounts, and I didn't check it late this afternoon. I checked it earlier, but there actually was something there from 225 this afternoon. So, excuse me. Delaware rainfall amounts were generally in about an inch and a quarter to an inch and 3/4. In Sussex County, that's Delaware. Okay, we're still in Delaware. Same thing. Maryland rainfall amounts also between an inch and a quarter and an inch and 3/4. South Jersey rainfall amounts, Atlantic City 2.42, 1 3/4 on the 2 1/4 on the high end. Not everybody participated, so Atlantic City did a bit better than everybody else. Burlington County rainfall amounts were in the 2 to 3 inch, 2 inches or more range in most places. Camden County, inch and a half to 2. Cape May County, an inch and a quarter, inch and 3/4. So let's go a little further north now. Hunterdon County, there were some amounts in the 3 to 4 inch range. A lot of other places got less, but a lot of these reports came in before the last of the rain moved out. Mercer County, Hamilton 355. Near Ewing 3.5. Princeton 3.22. Some 4-inch amounts in Middlesex County, New Brunswick 4.22, Woodbridge 408, Old Bridge 426. South Brunswick 397. Monmouth County, Hazlet 455. Not bad. And Farmingdale in Monmouth County, as opposed to Farmingdale on Long Island, 4.39. Morris County, Rockaway, 4.83. The hot spot there, 4.62 in Butler, and Whippany, 4.23. Let's see, Ocean County, 5.42 in West Creek and Ocean County. What else we got here? Somerset, 4.9, close to 5 inches there. Rainfall amounts in Sussex County, mostly 2 to 3 inches, but Sparta had 3.25 at Sparta Township, and Wantage, 3.57 for the rainfall amounts there. Hackettstown, 5 inches in Warren County, and that's pretty much, Eastern PA, just a quick rundown here. Bedminster in Bucks County, 3.88. Quakertown, 2.61. Chester County, Campbellsville, 2.44. I don't know where that is. Lehigh County, inch and a quarter, inch and a half. Delaware County, inch and a quarter to an inch and a half. Monroe County, inch and a half to about 2. So those were the numbers there from Mount Hale.
And Renata just mentioned on the chat board for us, as of just maybe a few moments ago, total here in Putnam Valley going back to midnight, 4.08 inches. Wow.
4.08. Nice. And still piling it on.
Absolutely. We've got another, I would say we've got another at least 8 to maybe 12 hours more of varying amounts of precipitation. So, with Ida, I had 4.61. So this may actually match or exceed Ida. But again, we stress again here that Ida, all of that moisture came in a very short interval of time, a big bundle of moisture just thrown at us. Whereas in this particular case, all of this moisture has been spread out over many, many hours. And so it's not quite as bad as what we saw back on September 1st with that tropical system.
All right. Now, we're not done yet, because Fled Weather sent me Fled Weather on the chat board. I got to find this, though. Hold on a second. He sent me the some of the long-range European ensembles, but he didn't tell me where he sent them, but I'm thinking he sent them to my messenger on Facebook, so I'm checking right now. But of course, I got the circle of death on the screen at the moment, going round and round. Now it's stopped. So let's see what we got. Nope, it's not on that one. So let's try Twitter. And let's see if they're there.
Is Fled on right now, or
he was on earlier? I don't see him right now. Nope, he didn't send them to me to Twitter, so they're not there. So there's one other place I can check. If I can't find them, I'll get a hold of him, and he can maybe tell me where he did send them. Oh, on Discord. Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's go to Discord. Here we go.
All these platforms,
Oh, I know, it's out of control. It's a good thing I'm on all of them. So otherwise, I'd be totally lost. That's one thing you can say, that at least you have choice these days. There's just so much to choose from.
Right.
All right, so I'm checking it here on Discord. So everybody just bear with me as these load. This might be a good time for you to rant about something. Do you have anything to rant about? Anyone you want to rant about?
No, it was a rather boring day here today. Not much to rant about. Maybe tomorrow. Doesn't take much to set me off these days. Now that I'm an old fart.
Mm-hmm.
a retired old fart. You get to sit here and look and watch television and make commentary about people who are now on television, doing the job that you did and I did for so long.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. I'm looking. I'm looking. All right, here's one. Let's see if I can get a decent shot of this. All right, I'm going to save it and see. Um, you're, hold on. I'm sorry, Joe. Just bear with me. I'm trying to see if I can get this. Hopefully, it'll be big enough. But we've got the Euro weeklies. And I'll bring it up on the screen forthwith. Because I have to go, I have to get it, then I got to download it and save it and then bring it up on the screen. Okay, now I can bring it up on the screen. All right. So this would make great television if we were, if we'd be thrown off. But it's a little bit on the smallish side. I will try to make it a bit bigger. Let's see if this will work. Nope, that didn't work. So let me close this. I'll do it this way. That should do it. So this is the Euro weeklies. So this is for this is our 1,104, Joe, valid December 10th, 2021. Not too shabby looking in upper air on the European 1,000 hours, 1,100 hours from now. But look, if it gets if it gets like, I mean, this is the kind of upper pattern you want to see if you're a winter weather lover. I think the takeaway is that at least in a broad sense, trough in the east, ridge in the west, negative EPO. That's all on here on this look. So the European at least is saying, you know, matching up with what was going on the GFS with the what's going on in the stratosphere, that the payoff comes in the first payoff will come in December, in early December.
Yeah, well, December, what is that now? December 10th?
10th, December 10th.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's
I'll make sure to be, I'll plan to be out of town then.
I don't know if that's the only map I saw that he's got here. Hang on. I'm pulling it out of a conversation because I can't, I have yet to really master Discord in terms of how to find everything. I click on, it's got all these choices and it's like, okay. Oh, here we go. Oh, here they are. Lovely. All right, you know what? I'm going to take them on the screen this way. Let's see if I can, here's the EPO. All right, this is gonna, this should be okay. So, all right, here we go. So there's the EPO. So there's the East Pacific Oscillation. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And it's a little difficult. I can't see the dates, but the bottom line is you can see the EPO goes negative here. The one thing I don't like about this particular graphic that they have is that the dates are so small you can't even read them. Okay, I certainly can't. And I struggled with a magnifying glass to try to read the dates on the bottom of the screen. But we'll just take this. This starts October 17th, but I don't even know how many days it goes out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that was useful. Sunday, Monday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So it's every 2 days. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So in 2 weeks, the EPO goes negative. 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So it stays negative pretty much for about 2 weeks. So that's a sign. I mean, that's certainly a good sign for winter weather lovers. And by the way, that begs the question, because somebody asked me this today. You know, and we talked about this. We brought this up yesterday with respect to the you know, the snow equivalent. If this were snow, it would have been, you know, 32 feet of snow, whatever it comes out to. No, it wouldn't. It's an apples to oranges apples to oranges comparison. But let's take this even more so. If we had what we had going on now if the upper air were the same and we were sitting, let's say, in deep in or late in December or early January, Joe, I bet you the outcome would be the same. It would be, and it would be rain for just about everybody, including going up into upstate New York, because you don't have any cold air. So nothing really changes. I mean, all right, we wouldn't be in the 60s, maybe we'd be in the 40s, but I would bet you that it would be rain, except for maybe some areas going way up into upstate New York and northern Vermont and New Hampshire. I think this would have been rain all the way up. There's no cold air around. The EPO is positive. There's no cold air.
Well, got to work on that, Joe. Probably let's see what happens a week from Thursday or late, not this week, but late next week, and to see if we could pull in a little bit of cold. Like I said, I don't know. Up here where I am, we have not had any frost or any freeze conditions. Nothing remotely comparable to that. I know a lot of people thought I was going to get the freezing before you. That certainly has gone out the window. But so far, and for the next week or so, temperatures are going to be basically in the 50s to near 60 by day, and in the 50s to around maybe upper 40s at night. I mean, there's no sign of any kind of significant cool down in the immediate future.
Right. Well, we have to see in the coming weeks. We got to get the snow cover has to build up in Canada first and foremost. It remains subpar, so we'll be looking for that to happen and all the other changes. So there a lot of work has to be done. Let's put it that way. So let's wrap this up.
We're wrapping.
We're wrapping. So thanks everybody for being here tonight. Hopefully you got through the day safe. Thank you for the super chat hits from Barry Goldberg and the Doug Wetzel and Izzy D. And did I get everybody? I think so. I hope so.
I think you did.
Yes, yeah. I did. There were 3 super chat hits that I saw, and those were the 3. So thanks, guys, for hitting super chat tonight. Joe and I will be back tomorrow night at the usual shopping time, 7:30 Eastern.
We'll be here, and have a good night, everybody. And again, hopefully you'll dry out tomorrow.
All right. See you tomorrow. Night, everybody.
Night.